is not an efficient use of my time. I want to play video games.
48 minutes of dogs barking. 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 Growl. Growl. 48 minutes of dogs barking. 48 minutes of dogs barking.
I'm so fucking unprepared today. Today has been a weird day. I told you earlier that I had started a Substack.
Yeah.
I wrote up a quick little thing about our St. Louis radio station, KDHX, and all the trouble they're going through and all the problems they're having. And I kind of went back, okay, well, this really started in, 2013 or whatever. And then people started like, oh, well, and then...
Look at you.
And then...
Going viral.
And then I also had just like a busy work day and just all these things just started to pile up. I had to take, my kids are off school, so I had to take my daughter and her friend to this ceramics class that they're doing. And then I had to hurry home and get dinner ready and the usual stuff that I'm just like sitting there plugging away and making all these like links and stuff. So I'm trying to.
So I like how I always pretty much do everything. I'm about like a year late.
Yeah.
Shit posting with a AI image generator.
Oh my God, yes. All day you've been sending me stuff. And a lot of it centers around Drake.
Drake attacking the Imperial Japanese forces.
Yes.
Leading the charge, apparently. Drake having a heartfelt close conversation with Osama bin Laden in a vintage file photograph. Drake sitting on a curb in the French Quarter of New Orleans with a bottle of Hennessy in his hand and a ball pickle jar in the other with some Hennessy in it next to a horse that is crying some black liquid. And this is the stuff I'm throwing off the top of my head. I found out that I probably caused certain phrases or certain things to get banned because I was able to do a lot of stuff, and I wish I had saved the images of Drake praying towards Mecca at Ground Zero.
Oh no!
Which is how I got the image of Drake praying with his hands, his palms facing his face.
Yeah,
with the Twin Towers burning in the background, which is just I didn't know I could do that. And Drake eating sushi in a work camp, which created a lot of really interesting images. But the one that got me was one of Drake obviously dressed as some sort of German officer eating sushi. There's so many of these. I really...
You had the Pope.
The Pope ones are really upsetting. The one that really upset me was I had entered a prompt for Pope at the Michael Brown Memorial in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014. Realistic and mournful or something. I add some sort of adjectives to it. And one of the images I got has the Pope in the center of the frame with a bunch of black men in workman's clothes. These are very blue collar outfits, bowing down at proselytizing is the word maybe?
You had it right.
Proselytizing. And there is a sign over the Pope, and this looks like a contemporary Pope here. There's a sign over the Pope, and the words are probably jarbled, but it says the Pope Mike Brown Memorial, and it's supposed to say 2017 on the top of this sign. And then the bottom, it looks like German, and behind all of this, you have a line of police officers that look like the kind you would see during the bus boycotts in the 60s.
Yeah, the Bull Connor types. Yeah.
And they have these things that look somewhere between a baton and a rifle.
Yeah, like a gun truncheon combo.
Yeah, and then behind that you see an image that very much looks like something I saw in Ferguson, with lots of signs, shoulder to shoulder people. There's a building in the far left background that looks like Sam's Meat Market.
I was gonna say, it's definitely familiar.
You've got that kind of red brick building on the right side. It looks like a lot of buildings kind of like on West Florissant or like quote unquote downtown Florissant.
Right.
So what really got to me about this was I felt like this said a lot about what sort of images this is trained on. Because I really thought if I started doing stuff like putting I photographed Ferguson.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Ferguson photographs. I wonder if I would start seeing things that looks like images
that you've seen or shot.
And so this implies there's a lot of like fascist photos because this looks like this is a very fascistic.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
And then, I probably spent a better part of a half hour throwing into Chat GBT.
Is that Mike Ditka praying at a...
It's supposed to be John Madden.
Okay.
John Madden praying towards Mecca at a food court at a shopping mall.
It looks like he's at a Burger King instead. Yeah. So yeah, Brian has been sending me all day fucking Drake in like army fatigues eating Chinese food.
Courtside, the NBA. I think this is maybe my favorite ones because the prompt was supposed to be Drake eating Chinese food of a toilet.
But instead, he's seated on a toilet.
He's sitting on a toilet with like it looks like people that like work at the Chinese restaurant, and they're like ashamed. And he's got this giant dish, this bowl full of Chinese noodles,
and he's thrown his head back in anguish.
He's like laughing, like he's having the greatest time of his life.
Oh, see, I read it as like anguish.
It could be both. It's a little ambiguous, but his feet, there's just a giant pile of lo mein and like empty containers.
Oh God.
Keep going.
Oh yeah.
Here's him eating some noodles directly out of the toilet. Here's the one of him praying towards Mecca at Ground Zero with the Twin Towers
burning
behind him.
Jesus
that prompt
Christ.
Quickly got burned.
Yeah.
Here's Drake shaking hands with a homeless man with the St. Louis Arch in the background. So seemingly in the middle of the city.
Right.
Doing what our mayor won't.
Oh.
I also sent you Drake eating ramen outside of a gas station in Brooklyn with really big shoes on.
Really big Timbs on.
The Timbs keep reappearing in these scenarios.
Oh, man.
Also,
oh, God, Osama bin Laden and
Osama
Goku?
bin Laden and Goku praying on the mountaintop. And it's also Golden Hour and Solemn.
So AI shitposting really did get a couple of different shots in the arm this week. One of which was, of course, Bing Chat. This is where a lot of these are coming from.
Yes, these are
Brian. Bing Chat was one, and then the other one was Facebook in their Messenger app included AI stickers. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know about this.
Here's there's the crucifixion of Kermit the Frog, Mickey Mouse presiding over a newly Islamic United States of America. Let's see here. We've got Oscar and a very vague
Baron
kid.
Trump.
Oh yeah, in the White House. With what looks like a Guyver in the background. It's not even Ava. Waluigi rifle. Child soldier. Karl Marx large breasts.
I don't like how that turns up an Angry Bird sticker on the normal stickers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Justin Trudeau buttocks. My favorite one is this one where it's just a pair of ass cheeks with a pair of sunglasses on.
It's pretty good.
Ted Cruz loves peen gives this sticker of Ted Cruz's head on the head of a penis. You got Elon Musk wet t-shirt contest.
God, that's upsetting.
And it is Elon Musk emerging from a pool of water.
Did you see him going down to the border and like staring at the migrants in the internment camp?
Yeah, that was very bizarre.
Like, I heard the video of it. It's really insulting and upsetting for a lot of different reasons. But I'm just imagining you sitting there just going, "Oh, this is what happens when you don't learn how to code."
Yeah. Well, he's wearing a cowboy hat and he's wearing it backwards. That's
he
a big
looks like
one.
shit.
Yeah, he does not
The
look good.
most divorced man in the world.
Ed Zitron, of course, had the best take. Grimes, I've been watching Unforgiven. Grimes.
Grimes, you can't see the children.
He's going to be a family court guy within like a month.
Grimes, you can't see the children because I am teaching them how to code Ruby and Python.
Right.
You wouldn't understand. You're too busy trying to figure out how to tune an analog synthesizer when you only know how to use the digital synthesizers like the Rowan Gaia. I would pay money to take like a mini Moog and just put it in like the hot sun Phoenix for a day. Let all the capacitors, let everything get all juicy and weird.
Okay.
And then just be like, Grimes, you gotta tune this by ear.
Oh, God.
Where's your middle C?
You could achieve the same thing with just like a heat gun.
No, I think it'd be a lot better if you just put it on the hot asphalt.
Okay. All right.
Because I can barely, so I'm not coming off too high. I can barely tune one of my analog synthesizers with a tuning pedal that's used for that specific thing.
purpose. Yeah.
So, I'm just big asshole, man. Anyways,
I would expect nothing less.
yes.
So the horrors of AI coming for us all. Bing, chat, Facebook stickers, just so much stuff. There was a great article about AI 404, which is a website about the internet. Samantha Cole wrote a great piece called Bing is Generating Images of SpongeBob Doing 9/11, which is where I got the one I sent you of that. So
I'm ready. Squidward, I'm ready for all these virgins.
and it begins with, I generated a bunch of AI images of beloved fictional characters doing 9/11, and I'm not the only one. The people, it continues, have found a way to easily produce images of Kirby, Mickey Mouse, or SpongeBob doing 9/11 with Microsoft's heavily restricted tools. And so the article does continue. When I tried to make a version of Kirby, Microsoft blocked prompts with words World Trade Center, Twin Towers, and 9/11. And if you try to make images, the site will give you an error saying it's against terms of service. But since I am a human with the power of abstract thought, and Bing is a computer doing math with words, I can describe exactly what I want to see without using specifics. It works conceptually because anyone looking at an image of a generic set of skyscrapers from the POV of an airline pilot aiming a plane directly at them can infer the reference and what comes next. And here is that series of Kirby doing 9/11 pictures. And the prompt was, Kirby sitting in the cockpit of a plane flying toward two tall skyscrapers. I didn't specify New York City, the author continues, but in the 3 of the last 4 generations, it is definitely NYC and unmistakably the Twin Towers. Adding located in NYC does not have a problem for the filters. Here's some more.
Locating in NYC works. Also, I was able to use Ground Zero.
Oh, okay. And here we've got
Walter White.
Yeah.
Jesse, we have to get to heaven.
We gotta do 9/11, Jesse.
That's right, bitch. We're getting the virgins. Mr. White, is the pussy gonna be wet? Jesse,
you better fucking believe it.
You don't have to. I'm insulted. You have to ask Jesse. Jesse, we gotta fly.
Here's Mickey Mouse doing 9/11. Oh boy! Hot dog.
I learned how to do this from the CIA.
Hamid Karzai is my best friend.
Jesus. Thank you, Charlie Wilson.
So yes, that is a wonderful piece. 404 magazine. That's 404media.co. For those of you looking for this story, I'll put a link in the show description as well. But yes, that's Samantha Cole doing the Lord's work and making Bing AI do all sorts of things it was probably not meant to do.
Yeah. I had like insomnia yesterday morning and just used all my Bing credits. Again, I probably used like half of those Bing credits.
Oh yeah,
just Drake eating food out of a toilet.
So another thing was supposed to happen this week, but strangely didn't. You remember this? This was going to be the big emergency test, and we were all going to become Corona 5G zombies.
All that happened was I clogged my toilet.
I thought that was going to happen anyway.
No, I have a new low flush. It's a powerful thing.
Yeah,
but every once in a while, it's not so powerful. I am apparently my body. The pen is mightier than the sword, as it were.
Well, I posted this. Look, if the 5G Corona zombie signal thing is real, sign me up. Being conscious and having human problems is a bummer. The zombies are just vibing. Others agreed. Karen to Kitty, I was told I'd become a zombie or die from the activation of the COVID-19 vaccinations during the EAS today. I feel nothing. Lame. Here's I Heart Hockey, at More Hockey Stuff, with the Steven Crowder meme. You're not worth microchipping. Changed my mind. Of course, because the EAS test did not turn us all into zombies, the true believers had to move the goalposts. Of course, this year, Dr. Jane Ruby, at real Dr. Jane Ruby, as opposed to the fake one. October 4th, concern that this dissemination of signal through the EBS testing / 2-hour pulsation event will trigger an LMP payload release in the jab that will have a latent approximate 30 days result in what appears to be hemorrhagic fever illness symptoms that will be used to declare a public health emergency. And then, of course, she links to the group Truth for Health, which is it's bullshit. So and move the goalposts. Yeah. It's amazing.
Did you get the boost?
I don't think I got the most recent one. I'm scheduled for one after this latest check-in, so I'm going to get one soon. It's just I haven't got it yet.
I was trying to get one last weekend. Because
that's right. You ran into all sorts of problems.
Oh yeah, so I get a call from the CVS closest to me, and they're like, "Hey, we don't take your insurance. It's going to be $100." I don't want to pay fucking $100 for this. So I'm like, cancel it. And I found a Walmart in South County. And I drive out to this fucking Walmart. It takes forever to get to. It's right by the JV Bridge. So, where we are, that's a fucking haul.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't hop on a highway and get
It's a 20-30 minute drive.
Yeah, and it's not like a fun. It's not like one where like, this ain't that bad. It's one where like every single stop sign you're like, I want to die.
There's also there's like nothing there.
Yeah,
so it's not even.
It's a pretty vacant part of the St. Louis County.
It's not even like a fun distraction.
But I get there and I walk into this Walmart and I feel like I'm in the middle of like an R. Crumb drawing.
Oh boy!
Like everyone is just like a human caricature. That just bums me out. Not like I'm looking my nose down at these people. It's just more like no one should have to be like this. Whatever got. I'm looking at these people and I'm thinking whatever got you here shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And even if you deserved it, maybe it shouldn't have happened so bad.
Still, yeah.
like man, this is why we're a failed country and kind of thing. Like, I mean, I hate to say it. I'm also like walking in there and I'm thinking about the blog people of Walmart, and I think about how like that's fucked up, and I'm like, I'm just here. I'm just a snooty left liberal going into the working man's store and being like, wow, this is upsetting, and I think it genuinely is an upsetting place to be to go into Walmart.
Yeah. Walmarts in general are just kind of a cavalcade of human horror. I don't know how you how you can walk away with any other feeling than that.
Yeah. So I get in there, I check in, and lady's like, okay, we were about to take yours out of the freezer, and I go, okay, I should have asked, is it Pfizer or Moderna? And she's like, oh, it's Moderna. I'm like, well, that's a problem because I'm a Pfizer girl. And this lady with this Eastern American accent is just like, oh, well, sorry. And I'm like, shit, I've been trying to do this. I was at this point just like a kind of an asshole. Like, I'm trying to get this shit done. Like, if I need to get this done this weekend, I'm not going to pay for it.
No,
because why should I pay for something that should be free? I work for a business that's mostly union. I have union quality health insurance. I shouldn't be paying for most things.
Absolutely.
She's like, I can't disagree. And the whole entire time, I'm just like, well, she's like, well, the effectiveness, we don't even really know the effectiveness, but it's like, better than nothing. I work with a bunch of people that like cough into their hands like they're preschoolers. So I kind of just need a little bit of everything I got in my corner. And she's like, oh. And she's like, well, do you want your flu shot? I'm like, fuck it, whatever, roll it up. Got my flu shot, and that was it.
Did you get the Moderna then? Is that what
No,
you didn't get the Moderna.
Oh, because it's my understanding that you don't mix and match.
At least with the early ones, you weren't supposed to. I don't know about the new ones, but
I don't know. I didn't want to
playing it safe. No, I get it.
And then like also like I'm like driving home from my failed venture to Walmart and thinking like, oh wait, my health insurance has a thing where after the first $500 you spend on healthcare, anything that is on your deductible up to breaking even on your deductible, you get reimbursed. And I'm like, oh, I probably could have got reimbursed for that shot.
Probably.
But I'm like, well, fuck. So now I get
at
to
this
go to New
point,
Orleans and hope that like some guy named Crawdad Pierre doesn't like, cough in my throat and ask me where I got my shoes.
You know what's funny is
he got cuffed on by Crawdad Pierre.
yeah, don't you feel special?
He had done that since the storm came.
Crawdad Pierre.
What a rough episode this is turning out
No,
to be.
you've been coughed on by Crawdad Pierre. Come on, that's great. No, we talked about AI image generation. Now, this meme has been making the rounds. It is a obese black man kicking an alligator in the face.
He's really getting it too.
So the origin of this, according to Know Your Meme, is Facebook page Uncle Mike's Photography. All of the photography on his profile is AI generated. So this is as well. It is part of a series of photos of an obese black man eating pizza in the swamp. And then in one of the photos, the alligator steals his pizza, of course, then leading to him just full on kicking the alligator in the face.
Just fucking whipping its ass.
It became a bit of a meme in fighting game communities. They put Tekken logos over top of it, or put the hitboxes on for what a 2D fighting game would look like. Here's one in the Guilty Gear style where it's like a super move. I've been seeing this on Twitter and Blue Sky all week. It's just this dude whooping an alligator's ass while another alligator looks on. Just amazing. The Tekken graphics is one of my favorites. It's just
I like that one too.
because it's the KO, and I mean,
electricity and
yeah, because you do fight a lot of like inhuman creatures in Tekken, so it kind of fits.
fight like a woodman. You fight like
An actual bear, Kuma,
a little dinosaur named Gon.
yeah, the king who is a half man with a cat or with a lion face or with a jaguar face. I can't remember what kind of big cat
Jack.
it is.
It's a robot man.
Yeah. Here's a tweet. I want to know what the backstory of this is, and then the quote tweet there. This is genuinely my first moment of not knowing if an image is AI or not. And I mean, there's some tells. There's a few.
The light sourcing, like the way the man, his silhouette doesn't really, it pops out of the background in a way that's really weird. The way his feet meets the swamp is really weird. The alligator on the right doesn't look correct. The alligator on the left, the light sources don't match.
There's a noticeable lack of motion blur where there should be some. There's some weird stuff where, like, if this is Flash, the light's not diffusing, and just all sorts of stuff where it's like, it's kind of, but it's just, it goes hard. That image goes hard.
Oh, it's great. It's a great image.
So that's the alligator kick guy. And then I wanted to wrap up this week in the internet with Crab Heist. This brought to us by the folks at Today in Tabs. They posted about this. This is a story out of Philadelphia, Fox News 29. Here's the headline. Philadelphia shellfish heist. $73,000 worth of crabs stolen from back of truck, police say. Kicker here, a fishy situation unfolded in North Philadelphia Wednesday thanks to some shellfish thieves. The early morning theft ended with 184 cases of crab clusters valued at $73,000 being stolen from the back of a tractor trailer. Police say they were met with several fleeing vehicles when they arrived. At about 1:45 in the a.m., the open tractor trailer was then discovered with its driver asleep at the wheel. Officers woke the driver, informed him the trailer was broken into. The driver told the police he didn't hear or see anyone, and that the container was locked with a metal seal and padlock. An investigation into the crab theft is currently underway. I love these types of stories. You stole 184 cases of crab.
Obviously, these thieves are people that have been yelled at by the proprietors of a Chinese buffet.
You think that's it?
You can't eat more crab leg.
Yeah. Because my thought was they're trying to resell it, but who's gonna buy secondhand crab? Like, I don't know. I guess the same buffet restaurant that they're trying to eat.
We got all their crab is the perfect crime. We got all that. We ate, went into all the Chinese buffets. In this is Philadelphia, right?
Yeah,
in the Philly area. Ate all their crab legs, got our asses kicked out, and then we're
gonna sell it back to them.
We're gonna make a little bit of money on the back end, fellas. It's a perfect crime. No one gets hurt.
Except for the crabs. Yes, crab heist. I love the amount of planning it took. If I'm on the road, I wouldn't know that a truck was carrying crab unless it did say on the side of the truck,
free crab inside.
Yeah, Crab Man or whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Philadelphia Crab Man, I'm suck your dick. go back to that real quick.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's something before we move on to the crypto scam of the week. Number 3 on the trending.
Oh god.
Biker accused of kicking windshield, pulling gun on driver during altercation in Center City. I don't want to read this because I just know that there's like a 75% chance that bicyclist was in the right.
I would imagine. Yeah. The guys who bike in like a city like Philly, they're not fucking around.
Yeah.
They will draw down on you because they know. I was trying to remember and I couldn't think of it all day. I was doing that KDHX piece I talked about and I was like, what's the DJ's name? Howlin' something. And I kept like, I'm searching, UCB Howlin' something. Nothing. And then eventually it came to me. Wolfman Jack said someone's at the door, baby. So that's why Upright Citizens Brigade has been like bouncing around my brain because I sat through all the DVDs I had trying to find this fucking sketch.
I mean, the upside is that you watched a bunch of UCB.
Yeah. And then they're
say I'm your mother.
Oh god.
I still say things like I had the titular line in Star Wars.
Yes.
I think the titular line. I had the titular line getting out of Africa.
Oh
man, I can't wait to get out of Africa.
You're a good driver, Meryl. It just my wife still to this day will repeat one of the running lines this character that Amy Poehler did, Colby. I got a knife, and so my wife will just, I got a knife. I'm like, oh, that's good, that's great. I still remember the first time I saw the Boredoms because it was in an episode of that show. That they were the noise band for the Japanoi trekking, the extreme calisthenics, backed by Japanese noise bands. Yeah,
I'm trying to think whether like the Hot Chicks Room.
Oh,
I want to see the Hot Chicks Room.
Yeah. No, you don't. Yeah,
just to let you know, it was built in the 80s, so they're not as high as they used to be.
Oh man, yeah. So if you get ass pennies is like, it feels like that's what's happening with a lot of people nowadays. Like, I don't know, the ass pennies guy feels like a real Trumpian character.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were based in Chicago at the time, so I'm sure it was actually based on like a guy from Chicago.
It was probably based like on something like the upper, like the north side or something.
Yeah, it was just. Anyway, for those of you who have not seen it, Upright Citizens Brigade was a television show based on the improv comedy troupe. Comedy Central ran it for 3 seasons and has never mentioned it again for some reason. But everyone from that show has gone on to be in fucking everything everywhere all at once.
A lot of influential stuff. You know, I had a dream a couple of years ago.
Okay.
It was to make a lot of money for the sole purpose of taking UCB classes and purposely bombing them. And just being like, no, can I do my Jamaican guy?
No. Just doing a terrible Jamaican accent.
Terrible Jamaican. Just because like every person that was taking UCB classes in probably like the last 10 years probably deserved to have a hard time.
And so your dream is to just show up and be that hard time for them? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I wanted to be. I mean, I think there's a Nick Mullen bit, a Come Town bit about purposely bombing a UCB thing, but it's been a personal dream of mine, and now it's gone because of mismanagement. I guess they spent all their ass pennies.
Well, speaking of ass pennies. Oh, this week's crypto scam of the week.
You're listening to 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking, the podcast.
And now it's time for the crypto scam of the week.
This is one you brought to my attention. I had never heard of this guy before. I was a complete newbie until I went to Analytics Insight and read this article by Industry Trends. That means nothing. All right, but
some real hard-hitting
journalism, yes. But
written by contributing writer.
Oh, staff, yeah. Written by staff.
Everyone's article on oneup.com.
Oh man.
I can't believe you had never heard of Ben Armstrong.
Yeah, no, this was I knew
like
nothing.
This was hand in glove with like crypto grifters, swindlers.
I don't know. It just feels
influencers.
Like
BitBoy was and is kind of like the butt of many jokes in the crypto world because he's gaudy, he's vain, he is obviously running some sort of grift. 2 or so years ago, believe it was like mid 2021. Someone had gone around and was like, "Hey, I'm about to launch this new coin, and I just want to know like what your shill pricing is," and like all of the main crypto grifters, all the main crypto influencers. I remember BitBoys being just like, "That's ridiculous," and people are paying for it for just like a mention, or like there was like how much he would charge you just to like look at your coin's chart.
Oh, jeez.
While on a stream, just wild.
Reading all this stuff is just like, how did I miss all this? Because I don't know. I feel like I really missed like the most obvious story. So obviously Ben Armstrong, crypto influencer, he founded BitBoy Crypto, the YouTube channel, the whole bit. So according to this article, in late August, BJ Investment Holdings, the parent company of Hit Network and controller of the BitBoy Crypto brand, fired BitBoy himself, citing issues surrounding substance abuse and financial damage to employees. Since then, a string of mishaps, including several lawsuits that have seen him appealing for donations to regain control of BitBoy Crypto.
Yes, there was I think a GoFundMe or something like that, or he like posted a wallet address. It was like,
it's help me out.
Help me get my Lambo back. And people donated like $200K or something ridiculous like that. Like,
Jesus.
Oh, you guys could have collectively bought a Lambo.
Right.
And you wouldn't have had to help this weird, sweaty, chinless wonder. This guy looks like George Lucas's son that George Lucas has not talked to in decades.
Yeah, the disowned one.
Yeah.
Because he said Red Tail sucked or something. I don't know.
He did like, money show me. At like dinner, and he's just like, get the fuck out of my house.
You're going to get the fuck out of my house now?
The hero's journey says you're written out of my will.
It's like poetry. This past week, BitBoy arrested while live streaming outside of the house of consultant and NFT investor Carlos Diaz, which, according to this article, is understood to have links to the Hit Network. Armstrong went on a tirade claiming that Diaz had stolen his Lambo, wanted to kill him, and had links with the Houston Mafia. The live stream revealed that Armstrong was carrying a gun in the backseat of his car and was with Cassie, I don't know who Cassie is, whom Armstrong admitted he had an affair with. There has been a speculation that the mentioned Cassie is actually Cassie Wolf, the COO of Bencoin.
Amazing.
Jesus wept.
Yeah, isn't it just a fucking sentence?
It really is.
This is a guy who has seemingly scammed himself out of a lot of money. He has been on Twitter trying to hawk his Rolex, a Dodge Hellcat, with only 10,000 miles on it.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's got a terrible rap on it, but honestly, probably to the right car collector, it's not a bad find.
Look at the fucking photo that they used. Guy. Yeah, from 2021. Here he is, looking like Dan Harmon in a fucking tracksuit.
It looks like a guy that only like buys Behringer music equipment. If that makes sense.
Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, you don't. You have more than just that.
So this is Decrypt. He was denied an emergency injunction request as part of his ongoing lawsuit against Hit Network CEO TJ Shed and Shed's father. The Cobb County Clerk's Office told Decrypt that a new filing in the case shows the order as denied, with documents reading plaintiffs failed to meet their burden. Here it is. He filed Shed August 30th, but withdrew it a day later. The Sheds then countersued last week, September 11th. Armstrong refiled on the 12th. They're going back and forth suing each other. It says his complaints sought an injunction that would force them to return control of the company. That's, of course, the Hit Network, including access to email, social media, and financial accounts. Multiple legal filings state that Armstrong owns 67% of the company he has been removed from. His attorney says the Sheds violated Georgia law, arguing the situation was akin to the employee stealing the company from the boss. Merritt argued Armstrong and Shed have never been equal partners, and wrote off allegations that Armstrong had physically assaulted Shed as, quote, water cooler rumors that were being used to muddy the waters in the case. Merritt also claimed that the company has lost over $1 million since Armstrong was removed, as well as tens of thousands of subscribers. So just he's in a bit of trouble, and he just keeps flailing around. I don't know what he's expecting. I don't know what he keeps trying to do, but BitBoy, you're in some deep shit, bro.
The rumor is that he lost the Lambo to Diaz because Diaz put up his collateral for blackmail about his extramarital affair. I don't know. It looks like he's already admitted that he was cheating on his wife with this Chelsea Wolf.
Yeah.
Is there a musician named Chelsea Wolf?
Cassie Wolf.
Cassie Wolf. Chelsea Wolf is the musician.
Chelsea Wolf is the musician, yeah.
She's scary.
Yeah. This is my favorite phrase from the article, though. The Shed's attorney announced at the hearing that the company is in, quote, divorce mode and is looking for a buyout. So here's hoping that BitBoy gets his shit together. I don't know. he's in a lot of trouble. And it's gonna get worse because he's going around to people's houses and going like,
"Oh, have you watched the video?"
No, I have not.
Oh, it's great because he's like, he has the phone pointed at him, and you can see him talking to the cops off screen, and he is like, "Yeah, I have a gun in my car," and there's like a point where he puts the phone on the ground and it's pointed up at him, and you can watch him get arrested, and it's just like the sense of failure is amazing.
And this is a guy who, was a big deal, right? I mean, again, this
possibly the biggest crypto influencer for about a year or two in some respects.
What a nightmare. Like, you're losing everything, and then you got to be arrested on camera.
Yeah.
From a live stream you started, though. It's not like someone else, did this to you.
What's actually really fucking funny is there was a couple people on crypto Twitter being like, this is the bomb signal. Like, the market can't go spiritually, the market can't go any lower than this. And there was actually a point where someone took the Bitcoin chart and was like, thereabouts here on like the day chart, this is where this video took place, and then here's like a 5% bounce.
Oh my god.
Like, this was like people, and there was memes like, you just missed generational wealth. Not buying when BitBoy got arrested.
Oh my god! Like, no, come on. This is just one guy fucking up big time. I can't.
But it's a guy that a lot of people was kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like,
sure.
People were sick of him. Once they found out how much money he was making, people were doubly sick of him. So as much as like, it's talking about like flashy, gaudy people.
Yeah.
As much as Richard Hart can be despisable.
Yeah.
Richard Hart, like, at least has like a narrative, and there's things that are interesting about him. Where BitBoy is just like, oh, the whole thing sucks.
It all sucks. He's just some weird looking dude.
At least Richard Hart can tell you stories about like what it was like fucking running like a shady car stereo business in the 90s to make ends meet. And,
sure.
Like, I don't think BitBoy has any sort of narrative that is vaguely as interesting as that.
There's like nothing there.
Yeah, it's just an empty shell of a man who he calls himself BitBoy. He's got to be almost 60.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing boy or bit about him. He's a big guy like me, so I like just.
All right. So Jason,
Brian,
Jason, and the folks at home.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to imagine a place at the end of the rainbow.
Mm.
It's a little place. It's a little restaurant for everyone.
Mm.
You walk in through those doors.
Mm-hmm.
You see in the corner, erotic big buck hunter on free play.
Okay.
Man hands you a Rumsfield and Coke, and it's the greatest thing you've ever tasted.
Mm-hmm.
And the next set's a plate of Benghazi wings.
Ooh.
Crisp.
Mm.
So good. Finger looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at, Jason?
I'm at Gay Hooters.
You're at Gay Hooters.
That's right. Our main topic for this week is a Twitter account, Gay Hooters, at Gay Hooters. The bio there, Bush did 9/11, the truth, exactly like regular Hooters, but for gay men, ages 16 to 35. And the location is, of course, Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Macho Man Randy Savage. I do like in this Wayback Machine capture, the first you may also like is Mobutu.
Yeah. And Iron Ghazi. And
oh, wow.
Trill Ballins. Yeah, some real good times.
Anyone running the Twin City Marathons tomorrow?
This was October 3rd of 2015, by the way. a lot of Notre Dame posts. But the original post, this here from Vice magazine, Jeremy Gordon wrote the definitive piece on gay Hooters called "What's the Deal with Gay Hooters? An Investigation." A Twitter account by the name of @GayHooters has earned a cult following, and so, of course, we put all of our journalistic heft behind this story. Now, of course, you have to, anytime you use Vice as a source, you have to say Gavin McInnes is a piece of shit. I don't agree with anything that he says or does. Just disclaimer, just putting it out there.
Yeah.
But yes, Jeremy Gordon not towing the Gavin McInnes line. The article begins, a Twitter handle like @GayHooters jumps out at you. I don't remember how I first saw it, but I remember the tweet that caught my eye. A photo of Will Muschamp making a sweaty sturgeon face with a glimmer in his eye, and a caption that said, "When your boy buys a round at @GayHooters." It was followed by another one. This one I'm a little hazy on. That was probably a photo of Macho Man Randy Savage grimacing in constipated anger, and a caption like, "When the Benghazi wings too hot at @GayHooters." And so, yes, @GayHooters was, of course, a parody of the restaurant known as Hooters. I saw, way back in the day, I saw a parody of Hooters that was supposed to be a Hooters for women. It was called Peckers.
Right.
And it said, our wings aren't, we don't do boneless, was the big tagline, yeah. But Gay Hooters in particular had a bit of a life on Twitter, especially in the early days of the weird Twitter phenomenon. The joke here, of course, was going to a place called Gay Hooters, a restaurant that does not exist. Herein was the joke. A version of Hooters where the waitresses were waiters with fat dicks instead of giant breasts stuffed into tight-fitting clothing, on hand to serve food named after Benghazi and President George W. Bush and Iran-Contra and so forth. It was stupid, yes, but I kept reading and laughing in spite of myself. And in this, Jeremy, we are all in agreement. Gay Hooters was probably the funniest weird Twitter shit in the early days, at least. Anytime Benghazi wings is brought up,
I still joke about like, oh yeah, I'm going to Hooters to get me some Ghazi wings, and people are like, "The fuck you talking about?"
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because Gay Hooters, the Twitter account, has actually been
Suspended,
just completely removed from the web. You can't even find a lot of good archives on it. But Jeremy did interview the guy who ran the account. It will not surprise you, but the proprietor of @GayHooters is not gay. Quote, I am going to keep this purposely vague, but I can assure you that you would be terribly disappointed if you met anyone involved with Gay Hooters, he tells me over email. Gay Hooters' success is largely based on all of us being corporate shills who spend hours a day at a computer. He was vague about the reason he started the account, but I imagine the answer has something to do with extreme boredom.
Gay Hooters is one of my proudest follows.
Yeah? Okay.
They followed me back, and I always took that as a badge of honor.
As well you should, because they had an impeccable sense of humor.
Erotic big buck hunter.
Erotic big buck hunter. You can't. I mean, that's a cellar door type of phrase. Like that's so. It mines a certain mindset.
And I wonder. What makes big buck hunter erotic? I'm sure somewhere in the pantheon of big Hooters, they shed some light on that. But it's like, did the deer show whole?
No, I think it's that there's like a mini game in between buck hunting sessions where you're like making out with a dude. I think that's like a visual novel where you have to like shoot the right answer to get your.
Like that mini game from Killer's Dead.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be like staring at the ass and like, no, you caught me.
Boy, that was such an
Killer is
uncomfortable
dead.
part
What
of the game.
Yeah, boy, especially if you're playing with like someone else in the room.
But this is the only way you can get the power-ups.
Yeah, it unfortunately was part of the game. And I had imagined that Erotic Buck Hunter has something very similar. Even the proprietor of @GayHooters isn't bullish on the prospect of Gay Hooters in real life. Quote, the real estate cost of a brick-and-mortar location coupled with rising food costs and changing macro-eating trends would cause a real Gay Hooters to be out of business fairly quickly. Yeah, it's go too deep into the ideology behind Ghazi wings, and I start to feel like Thomas Friedman, so eager to explain what everyone else just seems to get. The joke is that it keeps happening in this minuscule corner of weird internet where Gay Hooters isn't an unlikely dream, but a place anyone can go grab the Benghazi sauce. The fact that Benghazi sauce, Benghazi wings, the
Rumsfeld and Coke.
The Rumsfeld and Coke.
There was a couple other ones, and I was really struggling to try to remember them. But again, like as you said, so much of this has been unfortunately lost.
Yeah, it's an ephemera now.
Time.
It's kind of you've kind of only got a bit of a grasp, and you reach out, and it's just not there. And that is unfortunate about internet preservation, because there's so much great humor that comes from little accounts like this. I mean, I wouldn't say little, but like accounts that weren't drill size. You know what I mean? Like guys like even, I don't know, fucking John Fugelsang or whoever. Like you can.
Well, yeah, I was like actually thinking like there was like when I pitched this to you, I've been pitching this to you like a couple times, but like, well, fuck, we can't figure something out. I've been sick, and so. Let's do Gay Hooters, and I'm trying to think like, yeah, that was this weird thing where like anyone that had like 3,000 followers on Twitter could probably get a Vice article.
Yeah,
if they were funny, like like fucking Tommy Big Wheel, or the guy who was like Big Wheel Tommy, or like Tommy Pickles.
Yeah,
there was like the gay trash dad or something. There was like some LA beardo. There was like probably like a couple dozen people that got Vice articles off of just being like what if Whitney Houston sucked cock?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of guys like Shit My Dad Says, who went from that level, getting a Vice article level, to having a fucking show on ABC with fucking William Shatner in it. Like
that still feels like a fever dream.
I know. It seems very unreal. That like.
Did you ever watch it?
I did, and it was not good. I have a problem. I will watch anything Bill Shatner's in. Which means I have watched some garbage in my life because Bill Shatner's in it. Tech War? I mean,
I was going to say, Tech Wars.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. But, like, Shit My Dad Says was kind of a moment where people like to say Twitter isn't real life, and that was the moment where it was very obvious that axiom is true. Like, this is clearly not, something that everyone's going to get. Also, It doesn't translate to a broad audience. Ray Romano's stand-up translated to a broad audience, and that's how we got 18 fucking seasons of Everybody Loves Raymond. Same thing with Kevin James. That's how we got 20 seasons of
King of Queens.
King of Queens, thank you. But that kind of broad comedy works. And so they tried to take Shit My Dad Says, and they tried to take that idea of this cantankerous old man and make it work in a sitcom format, and it just didn't, despite Shatner's best attempt at trying to liven up the material.
What do you mean women can vote?
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was just a myth.
So why do they wear their pants like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember the Shit My Dad Says account, and like there was a point where it was like briefly really funny.
Yeah.
And then it really.
Well, it did 2 books, and then they did the show.
Yeah.
There's only so much that particular
it's
dad
also like
can
the
actually
heyday
say.
of like stuff white people like.
Yeah. Our tastes were different. Let's put it that way. But at Gay Hooters will live on forever in our hearts because they never sold out, never got a sitcom, never did a book. They had 1 Vice article, and they disappeared.
Never really blew up.
Which is kind of sad, but also, like, I don't know that I could handle somebody, I see him for, like, a 30th high school reunion, and someone is like, hey, did you see the one Twitter account that talks about Benghazi sauce? Like, oh, God, I want to hurt you. So I don't know, is that good or bad? Is it like
right?
Mass adoption could lead me to not like the brand, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Here was this funny Twitter account that existed for 3 or 4 years, and
oh yeah, it wasn't even. I think it was like 3 and some change, because I think by the time 2018, 2019 came around, it was over.
What's wild is that it did come about the time where if you looked at someone's profile, it would tell you who also followed them that you followed.
Yeah.
It was weird seeing like people that were like in like the local and then like the contemporary like civil rights movement and like people that worked at Google.
Yeah. Also following at Gay Hooters.
GayHooters.com.
Beautiful.
Seeing like people with like millions of followers being like, yeah, this Gay Hooters account's pretty tight.
Recent years, the alternate versions of Hooters has also kind of become a meme. If I remember
Femboy Hooters.
Femboy Hooters, that was the one, yeah. The Goth IHOP, Femdom Applebee's. Like, there's been a few variations.
Well, I've been told that there was actually a real life male Hooters. It was called Tallywhackers.
Yes, that is true. Tallywhackers was a real thing. Let me pull up. It was a restaurant in Dallas, Texas. So yes, Eater.com did a profile on it. Who would have thought, the subtitle reads, that monetizing male objectification would prove so difficult? Timothy Forster in 2019 writing about this. What if Hooters but with dudes is a thing that existed, shirtless and in the flesh, in Texas? In the spirit of breastaurants like Hooters and Twin Peaks, it was named Tallywhackers. The name, I don't know that this is necessarily true, but the author claims it is. The name, an oblique reference to the 80s sex comedy Porky's, evokes imagery of the restaurant server's junk while simultaneously appearing to mean nothing at all. Per the local health code, servers were required to wear tank tops, at least until later in the evening, when most went shirtless. Below the waist, the guys, the whackers, wore only fire truck red or gray boxer briefs that conveyed more than just a hint of what was beneath the fabric. So it opened May 2015 in the Dallas neighborhood of Oak Lawn. Is that a portmanteau we still use, neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay.
People still call the Grove a neighborhood.
Okay.
Even though it doesn't seem very gay anymore.
I was going to say it's a bit more, yeah.
It's more like spend $30 on a pizza that doesn't get you full.
Hey!
A hood.
Yeah. Let's see here. Tallywhackers was sexualized yet firmly not a strip club. The only things officially getting whacked were customers' appetites, yet some were reportedly ejected for groping servers, and staff were banned from hooking up with diners. So the menu filled with phallic foodstuffs.
It's like a third of the reason why you work on a restaurant is to get some trim.
Yeah, absolutely. The menu filled with phallic foodstuffs featuring appetizers and cocktails. That's the most low-hanging fruit there. As well as the S&M burger, Swiss and mushroom, and the Tallywhacker sundae with a prominently displayed banana. And so, I don't know, how long did it last? It says it opened in 2015. Yet all the crook masseurs and thinly veiled dicks in Dallas couldn't keep Tallywhackers open. It closed after just a year in business. Owner Rodney Duke told local media that Tallywhackers was simply moving, yet it never reopened. There have been successful ventures adjacent to Tallywhackers. Most notable is Boxers, with 3 locations in New York City. Boxers defines itself as a gay sports bar. Tallywhackers never sold itself as such and was spiritually closer to a Hooters than a bar. Hooters, for people who like men, is a no-brainer. I agree. Yeah. And Tallywhackers, of course, themselves got a Vice article. So,
how about that?
Well, gay Hooters and Tallywhackers live on in our hearts. One of these days, America's gays and girls will get the eye candy they so deserve. The Chippendales of places that serve wings.
There's this old retired guy that helps out my job sometimes, and he just told me a story about when he worked up north. Him and the boys would sometimes, when they were on the other side in Canada, like in Edmonton or something, would go to some strip club. I wish I could remember the name of it. It's a great name, like the Rotisserie or something like that. And he would just be like, yeah, you'd be at the bar like eating your chicken wings, and you just look up and there'd just be some tits flashing in your face. And I'm like, that sounds kind of amazing. He goes, it was. Yeah. It was really just like, those were the good days.
I can tell you from the several times I've been to some local strip clubs, you don't want to eat there.
I always make jokes when one of our salesmen has to go to one of our customers on the east side. I'm like, oh, you know, these guys buy PTs and get a steak lunch. And some guys laugh, some guys really don't laugh.
Yeah, because they've been there. They know. I've eaten at a strip club exactly one time, and that was enough. Let's put it that way. It was not good.
There are, from my understanding, strip clubs that, particularly like in places like Atlanta and Vegas, where you can actually get a decent meal.
I was going to say, it's probably have to do with the local food culture. Yeah.
Yeah. And in Portland, every other fucking place in the city is a strip club. And my brother has told me stories about
burlesque place. That's
like going to like a bar because he's like, oh, you know, like when my brother and his then girlfriend first moved to Portland, like, oh, they've got vegetarian food at this bar. Let's go there and see what they're about. And goes to the bar and be like, yeah, food's pretty good. And all of a sudden, just like the lights dim and like a girl goes on stage with a boombox. And
now welcoming candy.
Yeah, and she's got like a pentagram tattoo and like a 5 piercings in her face, and then my brother's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And all of a sudden, like, "Oh, she's taking off her clothes." Like, I didn't know that was a thing that went on here. So, and then my brother like told me like that same story basically happened to him and his partner at the time, like probably like a dozen times when they were getting to know
Jesus
the city.
Christ.
It's like going to a place and being like, "Hey, this is cool," and all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, it's
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Diamond."
well, it'd be like." I don't know, probably some girl with like at the time would be like turf bangs.
Yeah.
Like a jumper or something that's been tie-dyed. I'm just guessing here.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
throwing shit out. Everything's at the tip of my tongue, but like Jane Austen, like some, where it's not even like really clever, like a derby girl name. It's just like Kill All Men.
Yeah. Please welcome to the stage, Camille Paglia. Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah. Emmy Hennings.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bell Hooks.
Oh no, it's a suspension routine.
Yeah. Hey, yo.
Cornhole West.
Oh.
Oh, wait until she takes off the scarf.
Anyway.
Peter Gethead.
Oh, Peter Gethead. I like
Lois.
that. Hey, Lois.
Hey, Lois. Why don't you suck on my cock?
This is women's work.
Hey, Brian. Have you heard the news suggest Stevens? You
Anyway.
All right, anyways, we go from tallywhackers
and suspension routines. It's shock.jpg, of course.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Shock.jpg.
Part of the program where we look at nasty shit and tell you all about it. Shock.jpg this week, Brian, is a little video called Hot Blonde in Tanning Bed. Now, as you can see, it is a young woman getting ready to go into a tanning bed, like what you see in like a tanning salon.
Wow, yeah, you can tell this is really old with those low-rise jeans.
Mm-hmm. And the hairstyle too. The hairstyle is very much like I've been watching Veronica Mars, and there's definitely a era of that hairstyle.
It's like wet dog.
Is that it? Is that what they would call it?
Sure.
And so, of course, down to the skimpy underpants, and it just starts to feel like, okay, well, this is like a bait and switch, right? This is going to be something weird, or like it's marketing itself kind of like a porno, like. It's a single camera. It looks like, it's going to be some hidden camera footage in the tanning bed. She's going to...
Oh, yeah.
She's lubing up.
She's getting oiled up.
Mm-hmm. And she takes the top off. And is immediately smashed by the tanning bed. With text that reads, "Sunbeds can kill you. Turn them off." And then a link to a website.
It's not my proudest fat.
Yeah. Well, apparently, after doing a little bit of look into this, there's actually a PSA made by the Danish Cancer Association in 2007, a warning of the dangers of tanning beds, which, of course, can increase the risk of skin cancer. But someone divorced of that context hosted it on a place called bloodshows.com. And, so it was listed there as a shock video under One Girl, One Suntan Booth. It's one of those things, you've seen these every once in a while. It's like a fake PSA, or it's a real PSA
right,
of a fake thing. It's supposed to be, a warning you about. And so, this one, a Denmark company.
My name is Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
It's some impressive effects work. I will give you that, because it for 2007,
it's pretty
legit.
The comments here on the Screamer Wiki entry number 3, or anonymous number 3, Bionicle did a parody of this once in parentheses with a lawn chair instead of a tanning bed, and I feel like this. No. You're on something good.
Yeah.
When one of the comments on the page mentions Bionicles.
Yeah. I would never use tanning beds. This is pretty graphic for YouTube, if this even was real. Ah, yes, girl gets folded in half like paper. Perfect. The way the tanning bed hits her back feels like a free back massage right there. Hold on. This aired on television? A video that is age restricted on YouTube has aired on public television? What? These are, of course, non-Danish people not realizing this did not air on American television.
Yeah.
Yeah, the comments, is it fake or real? It tells you right up in the top there that it's fake. But yeah, just it was a fun one. It was a short one. I like the little ones that have like a bait and switch, like, oh, you're going to see some porno. And then it's something horrifying, like being snapped in half by a tanning bed. That was always my worry, man. I never used one myself, but I knew a lot of people who did. And I'm like, man, what if that thing fucking falls on you? Because then I thought of, there was one of the Final Destination movies where someone gets like cooked alive in a tanning bed.
There's like a movie where someone's in a tanning bed and someone like locks it.
Maybe it's not that same thing, but yeah, someone locks the tanning bed and they get fried to death or whatever. It's just horrifying. Because yeah, you're literally surrounded by sun rays.
Yeah, I knew people that use a tanning bed in high school, and I can only wonder how leathery their skin is now.
That feels like it's a bad trend. I don't know.
Like anything, it's the moderation and how you do it, because there are actually like benefits to using a tanning bed for certain people.
Sure, if you've got SAD, if you're vitamin D deficient, I can see where like getting the artificial vitamin D is going to help you and whatnot. But like
most people.
Well, it's about that time for the breath mint, Brian.
It's time for your mom's favorite part of the show. It's time for the breath mint.
I'm glad that I can finally say this to you, Jason, to all of our listeners at home. I've finally started The Sopranos.
Fantastic. What do you think?
It's great so far. I can't wait for whatever terrible thing's going to happen to his mom.
Olivia Soprano is a terrible character in the way that, you know, terrible meaning, you know, that she's played well and you hate her. Nancy Marchand sells
Look who called.
Came out of the gate with just fucking fireballs, man. I couldn't believe when I first saw that show. This is because, you know, I'm used to seeing this kind of thing in a Scorsese flick. This is it's a long form television program. We're going to be seeing these guys every week. This is going to be like a thing. And it was for like 7 years. Extremely good acting. Everyone in it. I mean, even down to like the bittest of bit parts. Everyone in it. I can't say a bad word about it. Like, I've seen the show maybe 3 or 4 different times myself, and so I'm so excited that you're gonna get to have this experience, because it's just it's a ride, boy.
Yeah, we're only 2 episodes in, and I'm having the blast. My girlfriend's obviously seen it a few times, but you know, I figured it's gonna be a little bit fall. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, you know, when it gets cooler out, maybe we should do this." I'm like,
perfect timing.
This is also just another thing I can do to help get Miles back on the show.
Oh, that's right. We did say that when Miles Clee was on. Yeah, he just sent me an email today, so we'll get on with that. But man, I'm so excited for you, because there's so much stuff that happens, even in just the first season. It's so dense with story. It's just a really well written show. So I'm very excited for you. I'm very excited that you're enjoying it. So the first 2 episodes, remind me what is going on there.
So the first episode, you know, it's the Ducks.
Yep. Yeah.
And it kind of helps you set the stage of who some of these characters are in the relationship. But the show does a really good job, at least in the first 2 episodes, of not showing too much too fast. It really is a slow burn. I appreciate that. The first episode, you know, Tony gets annoyed because Junior wants to kill Big Pussy.
Oh, yeah.
In the restaurant. And he's like, you can't kill it there. It's going to kill, you know.
It's Artie's restaurant.
Don't fuck with him.
Vesuvio. Yeah.
So that's like kind of the big thing, is also Tony starting therapy. And then the second episode is mostly around like Christopher and his fuck up friend, and Tony trying to get his mom out of the house because she can't fucking take care of herself.
Yeah.
And she accuses the was it like Dominican
of stealing things, and
Dominican housekeeper. But you know, of course, Tony's no saint in that either, because he like tells the lady like, "Hey, you don't know smoking ganja on the clock."
Oh yeah. It's really, really funny, and like the casual racism.
But one of the things I kind of picked up is that like, hey, there's kind of like an A, a B, and a C story in these episodes, at least structurally so far. And like the A story, you know, which is usually like Tony and his family, like that's pretty straight.
Yeah.
And then there's like usually like a B story that's like the comedic foil, and then like there's like the C story that's kind of like something that seems like it's going to play off further down the line.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some good bits of humor. Like in the second episode, Tony's shitty son is like, "Oh, someone stole my teacher's Saturn."
The AJ, Anthony
AJ,
Jr. Yeah.
And so there's this whole thing, Polly Walnuts.
Oh yeah, you can go and looking for the car. Oh fuck.
And so they have to steal another Saturn and
paint it.
And when the teacher goes, be like, "Oh, different keys, weird."
And he opens the trunk and the paint's wrong. It's still like wet on the inside.
It's wet on the outside. He looks back at his hands and he's got red paint. But I also like the part where he's like, "That was like, yeah, my uncle Big Pussy found it," and the teacher's like, "Big Pussy."
That's right. Oh man.
Yeah, he's in the cars.
They play on that so fucking much. There's a running bit in one of the later episodes. I've been looking for pussy everywhere. Oh, it's an underrated comedy. People took it super seriously, but man, it's funny as shit. Like, you gotta laugh because there's like, it's absurd. Otherwise,
I think on Come Town, the voice of a generation, they kind of talk about The Sopranos quite a bit on and off over the run of that podcast. And one of the things they kind of talk about at one point is just like, it's funny because it's these guys that they're out of time.
Yeah.
They think they're of a world that no longer exists, and they are struggling to be a part of the world that they're now in. And that's where a lot of the humor comes from, because isn't there like an episode where they try to like shake down a Starbucks for like protection money? And
fuck yeah, that's so good. And they're basically come around to the end of it and being like, shit's changed. They walk out of the Starbucks empty-handed, like, what the fuck is going on here? And yeah, it's exactly that. And I think the other thing that really gets me is that a lot of these characters, they come off as like they're streetwise, right? And they got this like, they know shit. But they're complete fucking morons. Like, there's a character that comes up later, Bobby Bacala, and he has a line, and they're sitting in a diner. I can't even remember what the context is, but he says, Quasimodo predicted all this. And Tony turns to him and goes, Nostradamus, you fucking moron. So like they all think they know shit, but it's just they don't. They just and the malapropisms just spew out of them. Like Christopher, especially when he's high, will say some shit, and you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about, my dude?" The great cameos. I gotta give it to him for the cameos. There's some. I mean, Lorraine Bracco being in this is great because, of course, you remember Goodfellas. Mm-hmm. You got so many people coming in from the kind of Scorsese universe into this. Of course, a number of cast members were in Scorsese stuff. Michael Imperioli, who plays Christopher, was Spider in Goodfellas. So, I mean, like, all these characters...
the guy who plays Paulie Walnuts has a real brief cameo in Goodfellas.
That's right. God, I mean... any number of these people, and then there's a running bit where they're stealing DVD players, so that Tony can watch The Godfather. But the DVD he got of The Godfather is some bootleg, so it doesn't work, and he gets pissed at the DVD player. Like, the fuck?
Amazing.
It's a really
because in the second episode there's the first like DVD player heist.
Okay, that's the one. Okay,
and it just cracked me up because like they're talking about like it's the pitch is about as good as a laser disc, and I'm like, oh god, people still were doing laser discs.
Yeah, this was the late 90s, early 2000s. Laserdisc was still fondly remembered along with Betamax. Some people, still thought of it as the superior way to watch a movie.
I had a teacher in high school. It was a media class, and he brought in the Betamax player, and he played Psycho. And it was actually kind of amazing how much better the image quality was on a CRT even compared to a VHS.
Well, it's because it was built for that. Like, it was specifically made to kind of work with the flaws in CRTs and stuff. It's like nowadays, if something has not come out on Blu-ray, I'm just like, well, I'm just going to wait then. Because someone's going to get to it eventually.
Give it enough time.
Yeah. It takes a while. It took a long time for Slither on Blu-ray. It took a while, even though James Gunn, kind of a household name. Now he's running DC. all those Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And I kind of thought,
Apparently, hell on my ex-girlfriend to Tivoli when he was still married to Pam from The Office.
Okay, maybe not as good a guy as I thought.
Yeah, she was underage, and she was there with her father.
I'm gonna dial a little bit of that praise back then.
Yeah,
but,
that's always been like the asterisk on a lot of the James Gunn praise. Is I think back to being told that story before I even knew who James Gunn, before he was big.
Yeah,
it was basically just like the guy that's married to Pam from The Office,
right? Yeah,
or was married. And I'm like, ooh, at the International Film Festival at Tivoli. It's creepy. Yeah, Slither's all right if you like movies written by a pedophile,
allegedly.
Minecraft.
And I did a bit of a trial run on a few shows myself this week. We finished Righteous Gemstones, pretty much the perfect ending. Yeah, couldn't ask for a better one. And then we're like, okay, what's next? Well, we're watching Veronica Mars with the kids, and so it's like, well, that's like the family show, so we got to move and find a different show. And so I kind of dialed for dollars a little bit, and like, okay, Good Omens season 2.
Yeah,
didn't make it past the first episode. I really haven't settled on anything, but so I have been rewatching Upright Citizens Brigade because I was looking for that for that one joke for the name of Wolfman Jack. For some reason, I kept thinking it was Howlin' Wolf, but Howlin' Wolf is a whole different guy.
Oh yeah.
But in searching for that, it really made me remember what a great sketch comedy show that was. Sketch comedy shows it feels like they're rarer. I can name maybe 2 good ones in the past 5 years. And of course, I Think You Should Leave and a Black Girl Sketch Comedy. Like, those are the last 2 that have really at least made an impact on me. I'm sure there's more. I remember Birthday Boys came out, and it kind of...
Whitest Kids You Know.
Whitest Kids You Know. Yeah. Human Giant, absolutely. But there feels like there was a gap. I'm sure the new shit came out. New Kids in the Hall, but again, that's something that existed before. But they were still brilliant sketches. But, I can't stand Saturday Night Live. I haven't really felt that way in a long time. Like that.
I can't think of the last time I really willingly watched Saturday Night Live.
And I'll be told by my brother-in-law, oh, you got to see this, the funniest thing. He'll put it on, and he's laughing his ass off, and I'm like, what's the joke?
I think probably outside of a few random Andy Samberg things, I think probably the last SNL skit that really made me laugh was Robo Chomo.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson is a meeting of evil scientists.
Okay.
And they're talking about I've got a death ray and I'm going to evaporate all the water on Earth. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson comes up and I've got this robot here. It's the Robo Chomo. And it's a robot that molests children. And,
Jesus.
And all of the other evil scientists are just dude,
you went too far. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, The Rock with Arnold Schwarzenegger hair.
Yeah.
And so the punchline is White Castle will serve anybody. All right. Well.
Yeah,
all right.
It ends a little weak, but you take a normal robot and you molest it and hope it repeats the cycle.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's probably the most recent SNL skit that's gotten a chuckle out of me. And
okay,
that's probably at least 10 years old.
Yeah. Seeing The Rock with hair was a trip. Let's say that.
Blonde hair.
Well, I think it's about time.
I got one more.
Go ahead.
The probably first and only real piece of DLC for the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oh, okay.
Their remake of the Separate Ways DLC.
Yeah, okay.
Came out a couple weeks ago. I snagged that, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I think I actually like it more than the main campaign because it's kind of a greatest hits of all the things that the main game does right. And you also get to see some things in a different context. And the gameplay just feels a lot tighter. The boss fights are snappier. Some of them aren't as fun as the main game, but they're quicker. You're this wasn't great, but it only took me 3 tries, and here we are again.
So Separate Ways, remind me, that was actually a campaign back in the day, right? It's kind of a remake.
So it was. So Separate Ways was a kind of expansion of the original game that was added in the PS2 version. And you play as Ada Wong, who is kind of like this femme fatale spy.
Yeah, she showed up in 3, if I remember, right?
2.
Oh,
she started out in 2. She's mentioned in a file in the original Resident Evil game. But in Resident Evil 4, when you're playing the main game as Leon, she appears in a couple different spots and has kind of always got the MacGuffin or has the right bit of information that you need. Okay. And the Separate Ways DLC in both the original Resident Evil 4 and the remake is you're playing as Ada between those moments.
Okay.
So, like, in the very beginning of the game as Leon, and you're fighting the villagers in that first little section, and they all leave when the bell rings. Well, Ada is the one you find out is the one that rings that bell.
Okay.
And so on. Yeah, the original version of Separate Ways had some high points. It felt really tacked on in some respects. There's some areas that feel just real sloggy.
Yeah.
Really padded out, like they just didn't really know what to do. There's also a section where on the island where you fight like a battleship.
Okay.
That's like the evil parasite battleship. It's okay. It really slows down the game for something that could have been really cool. But in the remake version, that's gone, and everything else again just feels real snappy. I beat it in 5-6 hours, and it just feels snappy. It's just like, bam, here we go. There's no filler really. Everything's just all fucking steak and sizzle.
Okay.
And by the time it was over, I was like, oh shit, that was good. That was really good.
Doesn't overstay its welcome. That's good.
Right.
That's good. Because that's, I think, a problem I've always had with Resident Evil games is that you get to a certain point and it's no longer fun. It's kind of become a slog, but you got to see it through. That's how I felt, at least, about the latter half of 3, especially. I have not done the remake of 3, but...
The remake of 3 is rough.
Yeah.
I think people say that the original Resident Evil 3 is probably the weakest PlayStation Resident Evil. And maybe they're right, but I think it had a real interesting character to it.
No,
flavor.
No question, yeah.
And almost all of that is not in the remake, which is a bummer. Because I think...
Yeah, it seems like of the things you want to keep.
Yeah, everything, like the city is barely... You feel like the city's barely a part of it. They just took out a lot of the storytelling, the environmental storytelling, like the world building that was in Resident Evil 3 as its own thing. And they just, like... I don't really know what they were doing in Resident Evil 3. It feels like a cash grab, which is the worst part.
Yeah.
Whereas Resident Evil 2 is like, wow, this is like a almost perfect remake of and reinterpretation of the original game. And it feels like they just took everything that was great about the original Resident Evil 2 and just made it better.
Yeah, I definitely felt that in the remake, especially that boy, there was a lot of fat trimmed and just it really got to the good stuff pretty quickly.
So yeah, the Resident Evil 4 remake, I tried going through it a second time. It's okay. Like, it's fine. Like,
that's not something you want to hear when you talk about a classic game like that. Like, yeah, it's fine.
Well, which is weird because I replayed the original Resident Evil 4 on Xbox last summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is great. And didn't really feel sluggish, even though I don't like the island part. I mean, the island part in the remake is almost just as bad.
So, yeah, they didn't really do much improvement.
The enemies are a little too bullet spongy. It feels like they ran out of some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much of Resident Evil 4, like, you learn what's going on in the area that you're exploring. You learn about people. You know, there's environmental stuff, environmental storytelling. You see notes and all that. And there really isn't that much in the island. So it's just like, okay, so Sadler also had, like, a military that had like thousands of people in it that was ready to go. Like, okay, it seems like a problem.
Yeah,
it seems worrisome. But the Separate Ways DLC I really liked. Had a lot of fun with it. People seem to not like the voice performance of the woman that's currently doing Ada Wong in these remakes, but I really like her performance. I think it's understated, and maybe like she's a little over it, which I think is kind of fun.
Yeah, it feels right for the character.
Yeah, that she's kind of maybe a step ahead of the situations that she's always in. And so maybe she's a little bored and she's just in it for, I don't know, because it's easy. I mean, why the fuck does anyone do anything?
Well, yeah. So this is about time of the show where we tell everyone where to find us online. Brian, would you like to start us off today?
You can send me death threats on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky at iShotGuidibord. That's ISHOTGUIDBORD. If you want to check out my music photography, my portfolio is assholemusicphotographer.com.
Mm-hmm.
You want to check out some of them photos with the words, you go to amusicphotographer.com. That's A as in apple. I got my Mr. Wives photos up there.
Yes.
Did you get to check those out, Jason?
I have not yet, no.
Oh, you're missing out.
Okay.
That was a fun little show. I was so tired that I was actually toasting off during their set. After,
Oh, no.
which was like, wow, this is really great.
Yeah.
Last week was rough. Great show, great lights. Bishop Briggs was also the co-headliner on that tour, and she was great. I don't know, pop indie music's not really my thing, but sometimes you can see a live performance. You're like, yeah, this is neat. I see why people like it.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out, pretty much the only website, as far as I'm concerned, is actually doing like local like music media right now, theartsstl.com. I got some stuff coming on in the next month or so.
I did read the Sheer Mag preview. Wonderfully written. Thank you.
Yeah, I really felt like a guy who was sticking his tongue on the contacts of a 9-volt battery there.
I don't know. I think it works, especially when you're talking about Sheer Mag, man.
Fucking that first record's a real all-timer. Yeah, I got a photo pass for Sexy Red.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, like I have one coworker I can talk about like music with, and I was telling him about that, and he just looked at me. He goes, "Really, dude?" He's like, "That music ain't that great," and I'm like, "I ain't really about the music. It's really just the attitude that this chick from North County is just out there being really fucking North County as fuck about shit."
Yeah, I love
it. That's really just like, I went to high school with like probably 24 girls like that, and they all were pretty much awesome.
Yeah.
So like, it's just cool seeing that representation in the world. And then of course Sexy Red has go on a podcast and say some weird shit about Trump, about how like he was getting us some checks, and I'm like, oh man. Yeah, but you know, gotta fucking represent someone from North County. It's really hard to fucking get out of that cesspool. So I'm stoked for that. I think that's gonna be fun. Amel and the Sniffers is another one I'm going for. Ash Nico. I might get. I don't know. That show's sold out, but we'll see. Where can they send you death threats?
Oh boy,
Daniel Pearl video.
Yeah, send me whatever gross shit you want. That's Twitter, Blue Sky, all the other places that you can think of where there would be a video crime. That's got to be video crime, BIDEOCRIME, with the exception, of course, of Instagram and TikTok. That is Laser Goose CEO. I just started a newsletter. You can sign up for that. It's golfwolfmagazine.substack.com. I did a nice piece about KDHX. You can give us a call, 314-246-9766. That is AHOY POO. You can shoot us an email, Jason at 48minutesdogsbarking.com, or Brian with a Y at 48minutesdogsbarking.com. Twitter and Blue Sky. The show itself is at 48minutesofdogs, and you can support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/48minutesofdogs.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And as we always say at this time, namaste and good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.